The discussion centered on the findings of the UNDESA report, Population Prospects of Countries in Special Situations, and featured the voices of John Wilmoth, Director for the Population Division of the UNDESA, and Jenny Carlin, Deputy Director for Sub-Regional Office for the Caribbean of the United Nations Population Fund, Ashley Lashley, Executive Director of the Ashley Lashley Foundation, as well as the Undersecretary General for the Economic and Social Affairs. Now, the UNDESA report provides an analysis of current and projected population trends from the current period to 2050 for 110 vulnerable countries or territories. Among these, small island developing states such as St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, small island developing states, or otherwise known as SIDS, are a diverse group of 57 islands and coastal nations scattered across three major geographical regions: the Caribbean, the Pacific, and the Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and South China Sea. 29 of the 57 small island developing states are located in the Caribbean, home to about 46.5 million people. And this represents more than 63% of the total population of all SIDS. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it spoke about the slow population growth. Now, the population of the Caribbean is the slowest growing among all the SIDS and is expected to increase only marginally to 49.5 million by 2050. Although the population of Caribbean SIDS is expected to remain the largest within the SIDS grouping, its share is projected to decrease from 63% to 58% of the total, given the faster rate of growth of other SIDS populations. Jamaica stands out, having entered a significant phase of demographic transition in 2022 when its population began to decline, signifying a historic shift. This downward trajectory is projected to persist, driven by a sustained decrease in the population growth rate, which is lower than other Caribbean SIDS. Projections indicate that by 2050, Jamaica's population total will stabilize at about 2.5 million, a level reminiscent of the population size observed in the mid-1990s. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Department of Statistics released the population census that was recently done. The one before that was done in 2011, and they did one in 2022 into 2023, and they have since provided the results on that. And when you look at the growth of the population from 2011 to 2023, or 2022 and 2023, it does not look very promising. And as I'm here reading this report, it speaks to brain drain, which is something that we have been suffering from for quite some time. Not just across the Caribbean, but even here in St. Kitts and Nevis, where people, they get skilled and qualified and they leave. And so those services are not offered here. And don't get me wrong, they don't just leave because they want to leave. They leave in search of a better life, in search of better opportunities that are not offered here or in the Caribbean. Now, it also spoke to youth opportunities and how it ties into brain drain. Now, in the Caribbean, the impact of outmigration is deeply felt due to various contributing factors: geographical isolation, limited resources, vulnerability to climate change impacts, socioeconomic fragility, and a lack of opportunities, particularly for the youth. The phenomenon of brain drain, where skilled professionals leave their home countries, has emerged as a major concern in many Caribbean SIDS. And so you have skilled people who are trained and qualified. They're leaving their home countries and they're going to other countries in search of better opportunities, because those opportunities are not offered home. And how can you tell somebody who has come back to St. Kitts and Nevis with a massive debt because of a student loan or so many responsibilities, and you're telling them, well, we're going to give you X amount of money, when in fact that they are worth far more than that? And because of what you're offering them, they are not in a position to service their debt. They are not in a position to live the life that they intended to live when they went out to get themselves trained and qualified. And so they have told themselves, well, I'm going to go to another country, I'm going to go to another island where I can get a better opportunity. Now, the UN Population Fund advised that young people aged 10 to 24 years account for a quarter of the Caribbean population, and their needs must be seen as a priority. In today's world, unfortunately, there are some people that don't understand the needs of those people within that age range, and we overlook them at times. We don't take them very serious, and then we wonder why people are leaving and going to different places in search of a better life. And I don't think anything is wrong with you wanting to go to another island in search of a better life, in search of better opportunities. If you have weighed the pros and cons and you've realized that, okay, if I travel to this island and I live here with my family, or I start a family here, it is a lot better for me, instead of being at home and not being able to provide for yourself meaningfully. And so you've opted to go to another island to make a better life for yourself, because the opportunities that you are looking for are not being offered where you are. And the UN FPA said, quote, we have to leverage and harness the youth cohorts that we still have in the region. We have to prioritize investment in job creation, in education, and health services that are tailored for the youth. And we need to give them a voice at the table of decision making. Over the past 2 decades, the Caribbean has experienced a significant net population loss due to out-migration. From 2000 and 2022, an estimated 3.2 million individuals left the Caribbean, small island developing states. So from 2000 to 2022, an estimated 3.2 million people left Caribbean SIDS in search of a better life, in search of better opportunities, or some just decided to leave. I think this is alarming, and it brings into question, how are we going to get to where we want to get to if we do not have the people to do the work? And so Caribbean governments and the Caribbean as a whole, the Caribbean SIDS, have a major task at hand, a major responsibility at hand, to ensure that they keep the skills within the region. That is why they have introduced the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. The full free movement of CARICOM nationals did not just fall out of the sky. It is something that Caribbean leaders and the Caribbean as a whole, the Caribbean community, have been looking at for quite some time. And they've been having conversations, looking at the pros and cons, the benefits, the disadvantages, and all of these things. And I believe one of the reasons or the impetus for wanting to have the full free movement of CARICOM nationals is to ensure that you broaden or you open the market for skilled workers. And so instead of a skilled worker from St. Kitts leaving St. Kitts and going to Canada or going to the United Kingdom or going to the USA or wherever they want to go, they can now go to Antigua because that opportunity is being offered there and they're able to earn more. They are able to provide more for their family. And that skill, that expertise, it remains in the Caribbean. And small island developing states benefit from that skill or that experience that that person may have. And that is one of the reasons for the full free movement of CARICOM nationals. And I do understand the concerns that people have raised. And I'm not suggesting to you to completely disregard the concerns that you have raised and not for us to enter into this thing blindly. And that is not what I am saying. But I am saying that we have to look at the positive. We have to look at the idea behind of it, the long-term positive impact that it would have on the Caribbean. So instead of our Caribbean brothers and sisters leaving here to go into the international community, the opportunities that they are in search of could be offered here, because you're going to have a case where we cannot offer it in both St. Kitts and Nevis, or in both Antigua and St. Kitts, or Dominica and St. Lucia. But it could be offered in Antigua, and we go down the islands and offer it in, let's say, Trinidad, and we come back up and we offer it in Dominica or Grenada, and allow our people to move within the region and keep the experience and the skills in the Caribbean. It is 16 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation here on The Edge. Today is Tuesday, June 11, 2024. Let's take this break, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Devonne the Promoter and SKN Carnival Sugar Mass 53 presents.
Listen.
St. Kitts and Nevis 2024 Carnival Comedy Show. Performing live. Major High. Also featuring Vegas and Morris. Location. Carnival Village. December 7th, 2024. A night full of laughter. Showtime 8 p.m. Early bird special ends September 1st. Tickets on sale now at Jad Cash and online at Eventbrite.com. Contact Devonne the Promoter for more info. Email delvinnef12@gmail.com.
Celebrating culture, embracing history. It's Culturama 50. It's our heritage. That's how we live. Come fet with us for the 50th. We're doing it big. Pulsating sounds, masquerading clowns, streamed on
Hello and welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne, Cornelius, and thank you again for joining me on the program. If you're just tuning in, we are on the topic of brain drain in the Caribbean. Slow growth and aging facing Caribbean populations. And I am looking at a report from the UNDESA and the United Nations Population Fund in terms of the statistics over the last 20 years of people who have left the Caribbean and gone to other parts of the world. Now, in that report, Ashley Lashley, a youth advocate and head of the Ashley Lashley Foundation in Barbados, discussed the migration decisions of young people, citing, quote, after studying for your bachelor's for 3 years or even your master's for a year, it's really hard to come out and get a job. We have a very serious problem where a lot of the degrees are not aligning with the jobs which are available. According to the UNDESA report, the Caribbean region dominates the SIDS diaspora, accounting for 86% of the total migrant stock originating from SIDS in 2020. Now, John Wilmoth, the director of the UNDESA Population Division, who leads the team responsible for the report, highlighted the significant impact of migration on the demographic profiles of many SIDS, noting that, quote, for nearly half of the Caribbean SIDS, the diaspora exceeds 30% of the total population at origin, end of quote. In Jamaica, for example, the number of migrants residing abroad increased from 860,000 to 1.1 million between 2000 and 2020. This diaspora accounted for approximately 33% of Jamaica's total population in 2000 and surged to 40% by 2020, positioning Jamaica among the top 15 countries globally with the largest diaspora relative to its population size. This demographic trend underscores the profound impact of out-migration on the Caribbean region and highlights the urgent need for comprehensive strategies to address its repercussions. I believe that these numbers are very alarming. Our people are leaving the region, and what can we do? What should Caribbean governments do to keep them here? Now, we hear oftentimes, whether it is here in St. Kitts and Nevis and other parts of the region, where governments and, let me say, foundations, private, not-for-profit organizations, foundations, the private sector, offer opportunities for, whether it be training, whether it be scholarships, or some sort of opportunity. And not just for young people, but people on the whole, generally, to get themselves skilled, to get themselves certified, to get themselves trained. And all of this is geared towards keeping our people, keeping our experience, keeping our resources, our human resource in the Caribbean. That is the aim, to keep our people here so that they can make their contribution. Now, we speak all the time about the 2030 agenda and the various sustainable development goals that we would want to achieve by a certain time frame. But I continue to make the point that we cannot achieve these goals that some are, I would say, ambitious, without people. And not just regular people, but people who are skilled, people who are experienced, people who know what they're doing. We need these people. But we have to begin to offer incentives or packages or opportunities or whatever you would want to call it, to keep our people in the region. Now, also in this report, the advocate said that you have a case where the jobs are not aligning with the degrees. I know for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the government has a priority list in terms of the areas that are needed. And so, for example, if you need people to study mechanical engineering, then the government is going to offer scholarship in mechanical engineering because they need people in that area. So there is a priority list, and so we don't want everybody to go off and get the same degree or the same experience or the same training. We want a diverse population so that we could go there and get a mechanical engineer. We can go there and get somebody to work in agriculture. We can go there and get somebody to work in video editing and communications and these various things. But it has to also do with the mindset and the different opportunities. Now, really and truly, right? There are some people who would tell you that, for example, they want to be an architect. And they have made the decision to not go further in that field because they have listened to fellow architects or fellow prospective architects who have returned home, whether it be with their bachelor's or master's or certification, and they're struggling to find employment. Or even if they open their own business, they are struggling to keep it open, because that too is something that could be looked at. Instead of waiting for somebody to employ you, you have a degree, put it to use, start to offer training in various areas that fall within your degree. But you still have a case where people are either not finding the employment, you have a case where people are not in a position to keep their businesses open because they're not making the money, they're not seeing the returns, they're not seeing the profit. And so your dreams of becoming an architect have been quashed because the environment is not conducive. And so you go into something else that you believe you're going to make money from. It may not be your passion. It may not be what you want to do. But you're just doing it because at the end of the day, you have a mortgage. You have a car loan. You have insurance. You have children. You have a family to take care of. You have responsibilities to take care of. And that is the harsh, very, very harsh reality. The report also goes on to speak about the aging population. And it says that the population aging presents a significant concern raised for the region. Marked by a gradual increase in the population of older individuals within the population, it is exacerbated by persistently high rates of net outmigration, particularly among the younger demographic. Bernard Wagner, the mayor of Belize City, Belize, emphasized the impact of an aging population in many SIDS, including Belize. Quote, "In many cities, including Belize, we are experiencing an aging population. This demographic shift necessitates robust healthcare, age-friendly infrastructure, and social services that cater to the elderly," end of quote, he said. In 2022, life expectancy at birth in Caribbean SIDS averaged 73 years, with a range across the region spanning from under 70 to 80 years. The region has experienced advanced population aging compared to other SIDS, with approximately half of its population aged older than 32 years in 2023. By 2050, as population aging progresses, the median age in the region is projected to average at 39.5 years, while in Jamaica it is expected to rise to an average of 47. In the Caribbean, and other regions, 9 out of 10 SIDS have populations where at least 7% are older individuals. This demographic shift has resulted in an elevated old age dependency ratio, with as many as 20 to 40 older people per 100 working age individuals in 2023. This trend is expected to accelerate or increase to, or will accelerate to 2050. It's 11:20 or 11:31, sorry. You're listening to The Edge. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will open the phone lines and begin taking some calls to have the callers contribute to the conversation at hand. We'll be right back.
Time is time, and the team at MVI Connect respects your time. Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, MVI Connect makes your cross-channel crossing stress-free with its on-time, consistent, convenient, comfortable, and safe cross-channel auto ferry service. It's simple. Go online to iConnectSKN.com. Book a departure and return time that's convenient for you. Arrive at least 15 minutes before departure. Show your QR code, drive on, turn, and park. Then drive off. MVI Connect, on time, every time. Online ticket purchase encouraged to guarantee your trip. Ticket purchase at dock may be available if space allows.
Welcome back to the program. Let's open the phone lines and begin taking calls at 465-2555 or 718-577. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Cornelius.
How are you today?
Well, thank you, and I trust you are as well.
I am, thank you.
Now, you've provided some very interesting statistical information from the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. And I think that is good, generally speaking. I don't know.
Wait, sorry, caller. I'm not hearing you clearly. You're breaking up. Can you maybe make a shift or try to call us back? I'm not hearing you clearly.
Cut. Yes, something is wrong here.
Yes. So call us back, because we're not hearing you very clearly.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take this other call. Okay, we don't have any other callers. 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. So we were not hearing you very clearly. So try to call us back. Let me see if we could get you through as clear as possible. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Edge. Just step back to the phone lines and we'll take this call. Hello, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and you?
I've been listening to some of the statements that you've been making just now concerning the citizens of the Caribbean.
Could you speak up a bit, please?
I've been listening to some of the statements that you've been making a while ago.
Yes.
Concerning the citizens of the Caribbean should be traveling among the Caribbean and applying whatever trade is possible that they have. I'm not quoting your word for word because I could be off target with that one. But hopefully there will be skilled people and they'll be able to apply their trade in namely like countries like Antigua, maybe Barbuda and so on. However, in the military and the most of the system and in trade, they have people who they are called scouts. The Chinese definitely have scouts. If they want to find a house to rent, the scouts go out and they find the locations and they find people who have availability of property to rent, where they will be able to rent and start a business in those communities. In St. Kitts, I have not heard of anyone who live in St. Kitts and gone to Antigua, Dominica, Montserrat as a scout to find out what they have and start setting up a business and call back to someone in St. Kitts and say, hey, Joe Blow, in Antigua right now, it's available some opportunity. If you can come over to Antigua and invest, you have favorable preference, some good opportunity that will be in Antigua, which will be preferably for you. Most of the people who are saying that we can do that, you can go there, this place, are the people who are staying here. They're not leaving. They're not going. They're telling you to go, but they're not going. So the thing is, to get the movement started with people from St. Kitts, knowing the fact that we were the last who came out the box from sugarcane, the sugar industry, it is very difficult for our people to leave here, to go to countries that having lesser standard. And I'm not saying that to degrade them, because sometimes the standard of living does not really depict the people, because sometimes people are more humble based on the lower quality of life, or the comfort zone of life. And they're more polite to each other sometimes. And sometimes when our people get up into a certain catapult, up to a certain level, we find ourselves being very disrespectful to other people. And we talk down and talk at, and so we have what you call semi-crab in the barrel syndrome. But to say that we will leave to Antigua to go to Antigua to work, that's not really possible. We might go to some place that we think have a higher standard of living of ours in terms of generating income. But for our people to leave to go to the other Caribbean, I'm not seeing that likely to happen easily. So that's going to be a hard one. I see more people coming from Antigua and Montserrat and so on and other countries to live in St. Kitts and set up easily without we going to those countries. That is my opinion. It's only opinion. It's not a fact. It has not been tested and tried, but I stand corrected.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devonne. How are you?
I am doing well, and you?
Got to hear your sexy voice. I'd like to send best wishes for my daughter. I don't have any issue. She born station. Celebrating today. Happy birthday for my daughter, the 11th. Justin Dorsey.
All right, happy birthday to her as well. Let's hit this other caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devonne.
Good morning.
Let me turn on the radio. You know, that issue that you are discussing this morning is interesting. I recall debating it on Inside the News on WinFM some years ago, maybe over a decade. There's the concept of brain gain, you know. You know brain gain?
Yes.
Where those who migrate economically benefit the country from it, because if all of us stay here and no work, we eat one another, they develop new skills. Now, part of our problem is that we do not accommodate our students. We lend them the money, they go abroad, they come back with their degrees, often with skills that the country needs to develop. But no preparation is made for them, and no allowances are made. So your development bank, you will take anything. That is underemployment, and it's very discouraging. In fact, that is what usually pushes our people, our students, out of the country. Because no matter what job they get, development bank get more than half sometimes. You know, they're working for the government. And even so, our education system is not very flexible, you know. I left school in 1965 and we're doing some of the same old thing. Same old. The world is technological. We don't even have a factory, you know. We have the IT center. When it was set up, they said it would be a hub, right? Where young people could go there and do their own thing. Develop markets, programs, that sort of thing. But they can work on the internet. So our economy needs diversification to a modern, it is modern-ish. We have a long way to go. And the civil services need fixing. Why send people, put people in debt, and when you come back, go and teach? When, in fact, you need a skill. So it's a good thing that they leave. It is a good thing that they leave, because if everybody was to stay here, and you had a whole population of disgruntled young people, we'll have more money than we have now. Frustration. You understand what I'm saying?
All right, caller, we do want to take some more calls, so quickly wrap it up. All right, let's take this other call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I hope that this is better.
Yes, it is. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you have given some very good statistics there. But I think there's a simplicity in thinking that one cap fits all. Now, a mention was made some time ago about Germany. Germany has a population of over 83 million. They are losing people in terms of their population rate. So they brought in about 1 million persons to pick up this slack. It's a big economy, it's a strong economy. Well, they were absorbed, yes, but there's now the backlash in terms of social cohesion. And so we even saw it in this European Union Parliament situation. So stability, social stability is a very important word that we need to use. And St. Kitts and Nevis, with a small population, where we don't have full employment or even near full employment, we need to continue, in my view, as we are doing for some time. That is, we have the OECS framework, then we have the wider CARICOM framework, where, as I know what is happening, as far as I know what is happening now, you bring in according to your needs. And you have to let that flow off for a while, because you have to look at the education element. We haven't even finished the Barnsley High School. We have to look at the health situation. We have to look at the budgetary implications. All of these you have to look at, because once you let a free flow, and we should have had the discussion before rather than after this thing about styling. So all of these things that we need to look at, the managing the flow. And the last point I want to make is this. A couple callers talk about it: quality of life and brain drain, brain gain. People leave and go away. They get skills, and they use it. Well, two things. One, remittances. St. Kitts and Nevis, we benefited a lot from the foreign exchange remittances from people abroad. That helped to do the construction sector, and that helped to stimulate the economy. So let us not bash those people who leave. It has to also relieve, as I think as caller just spoke, some of the tensions here. So we don't want to knock that. So let us look at it in a very holistic and broad way, and not just think that you let everybody. Managed flow is the important part, I think, for small territories like ours. Thank you.
All right, caller, and thank you so much for your contribution. Let's head back to the phone line. Let's take some more calls. All right, no more callers on the line. I think we can take at least, let's say, 2 more. The phone lines are open. Call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. I wanted to make my contribution before we wrap up for the midday newscast, so I'm going to go and do that now. Now, the first caller spoke about people leaving St. Kitts and Nevis and going to other countries to, let's say, start a business or what have you. And I understand where you're coming from in terms of the point that you've made, but it is not a case where we're saying, it is not a case where anybody, for that matter, is saying to somebody who has a stable job or a stable business, and the business is performing well in St. Kitts and Nevis, to just leave and go to Antigua, or leave and go to Dominica. I don't think that makes any sense. However, if you have a case where you're working in St. Kitts and there is you've done your market research, because I think we're forgetting that in business you don't just get up and set up shop, and people do that and they fail miserably. But when you do your market research and you look at the pros and the cons, then the chances of you failing decrease significantly. And so let's say you have a case where you offer a particular service or business in St. Kitts and Nevis, and it is not in high demand in St. Kitts and Nevis. But after you've done your research, you realize that in St. Lucia, people want that like hot bread and butter. And they don't just want it for 3 months of the year. They want it for 12 months of the year. And so you take that bold step and you go to St. Lucia. Now, I don't have a business, so I'm not going to go to St. Lucia to set up shop because I don't have a business. I'm being realistic and I'm being practical here. But these things are possible. But we're not nobody is asking, anybody to just, oh, you have a business, go St. Lucia and open your shop down there. I don't think anybody's saying that. That would be wild, because you go down there and your business fails. And I realize a lot of people do that. They just open businesses all over the place, and they have not done their research, and they have not done a proper analysis of the pros and cons, and how they're going to sustain payroll, and how they're going to sustain insurance and all of these things. So I think that is what it is. Not a case where you get up and you go to another country, but you do your research and you see what is needed and how can I fill the gap. The second point that was made was, not by the caller but by another caller, was basically more opportunities for qualified people. Because when you come back here with your student loan or whatever loan for whatever bank, it has to be paid. You can't keep telling Development Bank that you ain't got no money and you ain't working nowhere. It has to be paid. Whether you are employed or whether you are self-employed, it has to be paid. So, if people want to move to another country and work there and make their contribution there, then that is absolutely fine. We have a caller on the line. I'll stick a pin and we'll take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devonne.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good. One of the first things we have to realize is that as it obtains now, we have a very tiny population in the scheme of things. Right? If aliens came down here and met Earth and had to settle, these islands would not be the place of choice, because we have limited resources, limited land mass, all of those things, are disadvantages. What we do have, though, is because of our size, small size, we should be, I'm not going to say we are, but we should be easier to manage. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think, on reflection, that even though everybody is saying we need more people, it is not so much that we need more people. We need to manage our small island better. Mm-hmm. Okay? You did pinpoint some of the issues in terms of we need particular skills and those kinds of things. Okay? But generally speaking, people don't like cramped, don't like cities, those kinds of cramped conditions. Those are more of a necessity rather than a convenience. Okay? And so what I'm saying is we should probably reflect more on whether in fact we need more people, but not that we need more people, but we need a certain kind, it might sound like discrimination, but the kind of immigration that would benefit our small island and not overwhelm it. Okay, that is what I think we need. Not so much more people. We should stop trying to go the way. Let's stop saying things like, well, Singapore has such a high concentration of people, yet they're so well developed and so on. That is a matter of them using their situation that they had to benefit themselves. But we should do the same, and the same shouldn't be like to import more people to get Singapore's population and then try to develop like Singapore. To use what we have now and try to manage it better, including things like immigration. You think there's a reason, for instance, why most of our islands are into tourism. That's really our asset. I mean, we have good weather, nice environment, clean environment. We're an island. Those nice things suit tourism. There's a reason why, for instance, a lot of the light industries that we had left, because there are other places they can get the reduced labor costs and those sorts of things.
All right,
so what I'm saying is just use what we have now as opposed to trying to emulate other places with these large populations. Okay.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM, and we're going to end there with the calls because we're going to have to begin to wrap up the conversation very soon. I take it from the caller is basically a case of better resources. And so you can't on one hand say, let's just get more people, but you have to have the proper services. And I made mention of this, I think it was last week. So improved healthcare, improved education, improved national security and immigration and other areas. And then we can accommodate more people. But I am going to say here, as I've said before, that we cannot be completely, dismiss the idea of people coming to St. Kitts and Nevis to make a living and to make their contribution. And we cannot completely dismiss the idea of Kittitians and Nevisians going to other parts of the world to make the contribution. A caller made the very important point that there are people who leave here and go to other parts of the world and they send their remittances, and that is correct. Because even today, in 2024, there are people who live in other parts of the world and they send home their remittances and different contributions and whatever, and they make their contribution to St. Kitts and Nevis. And this also, that what I just mentioned, form part of why people who reside overseas believe that they should still be allowed to participate in the election. They should still be able to vote because they make their contribution. And so it's not a case where I think anybody, well, at least for me, is dismissing people who leave St. Kitts and Nevis. I see absolutely no issue with that because, again, if you go out there and you get yourself skilled and trained and qualified and what have you, and you come back to your country and what you're looking for is not being offered here, then you have every right to leave and find what you're looking for in another country, in another island. And it is still your right if you want to make a contribution from wherever you are, or if you don't want to make a contribution, because the reality is no one could force you. But I don't want us to completely dismiss the idea of people coming to St. Kitts and Nevis to make a contribution and to live and work here, and vice versa. I don't want us to completely dismiss the idea of people going to other parts of the world from our shores to make their contribution and to set up a shop. We have to begin to think broad. St. Kitts and Nevis is not the only place in the Caribbean, and it is not the only place in the world. And I have seen where it's a case where we have been sheltered a lot because there are so many things that we are not seeing. There's so many things that we have not been exposed to, and so it limits our imagination, or it limits our thinking, it limits our understanding, it limits our knowledge of things, because we are afraid to, let me say, think outside the box and do things a bit differently. Because anybody would tell you, if you've been doing something like this for a certain amount of time and it's been working that way, then you're not going to see the need to change. A very fruitful conversation that we've had, and I love the contributions that have been made by all of the callers. Very great points, and I look forward to continuing this conversation with you here on The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I've been your host, Devonne, Cornelius, and until next time, you guys stay safe, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and please, I beg of you to take your time on the road. Remember, if you're late, you're done late enough, so take your time. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye. Coming up next, Midday Newscast.